right, we have Courtney Wasserburger on Nova Talks. So why don't we start with you telling us a little bit about yourself and what kind of company you run?
Yeah, thank you for having me on Nova Talks, Joey. So I am the CEO of Right Left Agency. We're a full-service digital marketing agency. We support B2B and SaaS companies with lead gen and sales through digital marketing. So anything with advertising, Facebook ads, Meta ads. We also do things like website development, email marketing. Basically, if it's online, we do it.
Awesome. And how would you describe your company's mission in one sentence?
So our focus is being a human-led marketing agency. So we really try to focus on like holistic marketing strategies to support our clients. We use AI a lot, but we want to make sure that we're human-led.
Awesome. Awesome. And what would you say throughout your experience in your marketing company? What would you say is the biggest myth when it comes to entrepreneurship that you hear people talk about all the time?
Uh, I think that like the idea of an overnight success is a pretty big myth. So I work with a lot of startups and a lot of entrepreneurs, and it is such a grind. It's exhausting. It's incredibly lonely, and it takes a really long time. You might have something that is successful that ramps up really quickly, but the time it takes to get to that successful point, that's where all the magic is actually happening. And so sometimes you look at some of these entrepreneurs and you're like, well, they like figured it out super early and they like cracked it and we just need to crack it. But they don't see how much work had gone into it prior to it taking off. So I think that's probably one of the bigger myths. But overall, I think that entrepreneurship is people don't realize how lonely and hard it is and how most people don't make it. And we don't really see that as much as, the winners.
Yeah. I'm kidding. Social media is full of just the winners.
Yeah.
So you mentioned success a few times. What does success mean to you now, and what did it mean to you when you first started?
So I think that when I first started, it was more about like just like the numbers. It was more about like how much money are we making, what's our profitability, and we were really aggressive and like getting out there, just trying to get as many clients as we can. And I think now it's more about, is my team happy? Is it scalable? Because if I don't, I think what we ran into a lot when we were just really going out there and just pulling in as many clients as possible. So we weren't really delivering, and then our clients weren't happy, and so our team wasn't happy. And so it was just everyone was really stressed out all the time. So now I think, okay, if my team is really happy and I've got everyone in a good place and they're working kind of within their capacity, then our clients are a lot happier because we're able to deliver significantly better results. So I look more internally at our team and their stress levels, and if it's good stress and if we're excited, because usually when that's happening, all of our clients are happy and we're growing naturally, anyways.
Okay. So you would say you had to kind of take a step back to go 2 steps forward, kind of thing?
Yeah, well, and I think that we were always kind of like moving forward. It was just about like zooming out and understanding the bigger picture and like what actually was the thing that led to us getting good results for our clients, and the right people in the right places. That was what actually like was the trigger for getting better results for the clients.
And speaking of the right people, whenever you're hiring somebody new, what is one unconventional interview question that you'd like to ask?
I don't think we have too many unconventional interview questions. I think that the idea of like, oh, we'll ask them this like trick question or like, what's your favorite kitchen utensil or something like that, and like that's gonna give you insight into their brain. And I think that's a fun idea. I just don't think it's very effective. I think some people are just really good at interviews and some people just aren't, and that's not really what matters. What we do instead is we just give them a test project. So the way our interview process works is we kind of have a really quick, like 30-minute interview where we just do a vibe check to make sure they kind of align with us culturally, and like we kind of like get each other a little bit, and I get to know like what they're interested in, make sure that we're probably a good fit. And then after we do that, then we do more of a technical interview. But before that technical interview, we'll send them a project with and we pay them for that project. So if they're a media buyer, I'll send them access to one of our accounts and I'll ask them to audit it. and then they get on a call with me and we like go through the audit and I pay them for those hours. And so that way I can see how they communicate. I can see what their work looks like, what they think is important, and if I think their work is legitimate. And that's a lot better than asking kind of these like random questions that people like can study for, you know?
Right. Right. That makes sense. Have you ever made a hiring decision based purely off intuition? And then,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think there have been times where I've hired, I think actually maybe a better way of thinking about it is there's been times where I haven't listened to my intuition, I haven't listened to my gut, and I've hired just because they had all the right skills, but there were just like a few things that just weren't quite right about them, and I still made that hire because I felt like I needed to. And I've always regretted those hires. Anytime I don't have a good gut feeling about someone and I still hire them, I always come to it just never really works out. And it's not their fault necessarily. It's just that they're not like not everybody can work for right left agency. It's it's just a people fit kind of thing. So I guess it's when I don't listen to my intuition, that's when we get into trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems to be a common thing.
Mhm.
um, so going back to the marketing, what is one of the most out there marketing ideas that you guys have implemented, and how did it work out?
Yeah, that's a good question. So one thing that we did a while back that worked out really well is we were working with a franchise company. It's called Pinspiration. We still work with them. And they were just launching their franchise. It was like they were very new, but they had really good energy at their store. And we needed to find more franchisees for them. That was our goal. And so, but we didn't have any content. Like they had some photography, but it wasn't very good. They didn't have any videos. And what we were trying to do is like we were like, we need to somehow capture like the energy that you guys have at these stores because that's what's going to attract the franchisees. But they didn't have any budget. And so we were like, okay, how can we get really scrappy around this? So my founder and her sister just drove to their location and took an iPhone and they like bought an iPhone like Lite and they just like filmed a bunch of random stuff. Like they just tried to get people hyped up. They like interviewed a few people. They interviewed the owner, and then they came back and we like cut it all together as cheaply as we could, and we posted it. And that's what we used for our ad. And that was the primary ad that we used for the last 6 or 7 years. And that's the thing that has driven the most conversions. We've tried a bunch of different versions of the video. We've tried creating new videos, and that first single video that we just kind of like quickly shot together really quickly was the winner. And so to us, that was like, well, if you just get scrappy, sometimes it works, sometimes it really doesn't. But in that case, it worked really well.
That's really cool. That's
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah, it was awesome.
You hit it on the nail the first time. Yeah. Um, what is a belief that you held early on when you first started your marketing company, or even when you first started business in general, that now you completely reject?
It's a good question. I think that I believed that I had this really deep belief that was like it's very black and white. So you're either hitting your goals and you're doing a great job, or you're not. And while maybe a lot of clients feel that way too, it's like either you're hitting the goal or you're not. That's true, but there's a lot of gray in between. So it's more of a journey. And I was always like concerned that our clients would immediately leave us if we didn't hit that goal. But really what I found was that what clients want and what they really need is like a partner. They need someone to like stand side by side with them and like assess the problem and like come up with solutions. So it's kind of like this ongoing process. And I used to have all this anxiety around performance, which I mean, we do, but it's more around, are we doing the best thing possible for this client? Are we using our resources wisely? Are we setting them up for success in ways that no other agency would? And if we're doing that, then that's what I kind of like know as success, rather than are we hitting this one number? Because that one number doesn't tell the whole story. And there's often a lot of other things going on that have to be addressed in order to get to that number. And I think over the years, it's become more about the relationship that we build than just getting the quick number. Because getting the quick number might set you up for failure in the long run if you're not finding like the true way to like grow and scale a company. If that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. So what kind of helped you make that transition? Was it just enough, I mean, failure and you just learned from
Yeah.
it?
I think it was enough of enough fire drills really where I realized like every time we weren't hitting our goal, I was always like petrified that I was going to get on the call and they were going to say, we're done. And, but every time I got on the call, I was coming with like, here are all the solutions. Here's what we're doing next. Like, here's what we want to focus on. And I know that like when I showed up to the call and I didn't have those like, here's the next step and we're here for you and like we agree this is a problem. When I didn't show up like that, that's when we lost clients. But when I showed up with like, I'm here with you. This is not good. We're freaking out too. Like this is what we're going to try to do to fix it. Those have been our longest lasting clients because we always find success in the long run. And like, we can always prove our ROI. It's not like we're not doing a good job. It's just that people just want you to stand with them and like be a part of it with them because it's really, again, like being an entrepreneur, it's so lonely and you feel like you don't have anybody. And so if you can work with, a marketing agency that's like as invested in your business as you are, you're much more likely to work with them for a long period of time, even if you're not immediately getting the results that you want.
Yeah, that's a very good lesson. So how do you actually go about creating these plans? Is there a specific way you do it? Do you just put it on document and show it to them? What's the process?
Yeah, so when we start with a client, we start with a kickoff call where we ask them, we have all these questions that we ask every client. And these are clients like, who do you think your demographic is? Like, what have you learned about your customers? Or do you have any patterns? Kind of all the basics. Who are your competitors? How are you better than them? Why do people like you? Those kinds of things. We take that information and then we go do our own research. So we research their competitors. We see where they're running ads. We kind of see what their messaging is. We look at their reviews and their competitors' reviews, and we analyze those. And then we also just look at the industry in general and say like, okay, people who are looking for this solution, what are their main pain points? What are their problems? From that, then we come back and we put together a strategy, which we put into a deck, just like a standard deck of here's what platforms we're going to be on. Usually we agree to what platforms we're on before we start that research process, but these are the platforms we're on. This is how much we're spending on each platform. And then we give them the angles and the avatars that we're hitting and the targeting that we're going to be using, and then the ad creatives themselves. And this is kind of just the launch. And then over time, we make tweaks to that, which are just conversations we're having on a weekly basis with the client.
Okay, awesome. And do you implement any kind of guarantee when you first bring clients on to make sure they feel more comfortable?
No, I mean, we can't guarantee anything. And what I always say is that, like, if a marketing agency is guaranteeing you something, they're probably lying to you. And if that's what you need to move forward, then we're not the right agency for you. We're a partnership. We have a really strong team and really deep expertise and knowledge. And so because we have that, we know that we can't give you a guarantee. We do offer month-to-month contracts though. So that way it's a little bit less intense than saying you have to stay with us for 6 months. We always say we want you to stay with us for at least, it takes about 3 months for us to figure it out. Give us 3 months. At the end of that, we're going to tell you, hey, this platform is for you, or the platform is not for you. We should pivot over here. Or if we're like, there's not room for you on digital marketing. You should spend your money elsewhere on PR maybe or conferences. Like that's what we're going to tell you at the end of 3 months. But our contracts aren't long-term, doesn't lock you in. So that's kind of a guarantee that they're not like, it's kind of lower risk compared to some other agencies. But we never guarantee results because we can't control those things,
That's yeah. That's how marketing goes.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any tiny rituals or traditions that you guys do within your company? I know a lot of companies, they have these little things when they're together for enough time. So I like to ask that question. It's always interesting.
Yeah, I mean, our culture is like pretty important to us. So I guess that's kind of what you're asking about, is just kind of like what our culture is like. we don't have any, I don't think we have any rituals. We use Discord, and so we're constantly communicating with each other, and we have a lot of like different channels on Discord to like celebrate wins and things like that. But we've always been a remote agency. So we've been around for 10 years. So even pre-COVID, so in 2015 when we started, we were a fully remote agency. So we've really developed a good remote culture. We didn't have to transition when everyone went into lockdown. And so because of that, we have a lot of like little points of communication. The way I think about it is that I always want people to feel like they can just stop by my desk, even though they can't physically do that, but they feel like they can always like just come over and talk to me. And we do that using different like communication platforms, but we don't have any like specific rituals or anything.
Okay, gotcha. So I want to take it back a little bit from before you actually started this marketing agency. What got you interested in marketing specifically, and were you doing something before then that was important to you?
Yeah, so I actually have like the straightest career path of all time, and I didn't actually start the agency. My business partner Alex Pucci did, but we basically when I was in college, I went to Chapman University, and Alex, the founder, she was also at Chapman, and at that time she was working at this lead generation company, and she was in a position to hire interns, and so she hired me. I was studying marketing. I like went to college for marketing, and we just like connected really well. And we always kind of joke that Alex is like my business soulmate just because we work really well together. And so she quit that job eventually and moved to an e-commerce brand. We were selling men's underwear, and she like hired me there. And then eventually she was like, I could just do this on my own. I don't want to go into an office. And I feel like we could like make a really big impact for smaller businesses. And so she started Right Left Agency in 2015. That was also the year that we graduated from Chapman. And then shortly after, I came on just as an account manager. And so most of my career has actually been with Right Left Agency, kind of moving up in the agency and also building it out at the same time. So it's been pretty straightforward. We really cut our teeth in lead gen. We got a really good experience in e-commerce, and then it's all been agency life since 2015.
Awesome. I mean, you stuck with what you're good at. That's good. But what do you guys focus on right now? Is it still mostly e-com, or does it vary?
So we have some really good e-commerce clients that we do great work for. We also have some franchise clients and some like local services and home services, but we're really more focused on B2B lead gen and SaaS clients. We feel like they have the best chance in this economy right now, and they have the most opportunity on digital marketing to support their sales team. And we've got some really good success and gotten some really good traction with a couple of clients. So that's where we're focused on. We're always open because we just like the challenge of different industries and like learning new things. And our team is always excited by those things. We have experience in all of these different areas, but we generally focus more on SaaS and B2B.
Okay. And when you were younger, when you were, let's say, in high school, did you ever think that you were going to be helping run an agency in marketing, or did you have another kind of dream that led into it?
I mean, I've always, like, even in high school, I was very practical. And so I took a business class, just like when I was in high school, and I did really well at it. And I joined DECA, which is the club for like business. And again, I did well. And so I thought I don't want to do a ton of college. Like, I don't want to be in school for years and years. I want something that is really sustainable, that isn't going to be like, it's almost recession proof, and I want something that I'm like naturally pretty good at. And so marketing became pretty obvious, and then I just followed that path, which I know is like super boring. I feel like most people have like all these cool little side quests that they went on, but I've always been very practical and very driven, and this is what made the most sense. And I always saw myself like, I've always kind of been a bit of a, I don't know if overachiever is the right word, but I've always been focused on achievement, and just being, what I care about most is being the best at what I'm doing. So like, I'm always wanting to do the best I possibly can at whatever situation I'm in. And so that kind of very naturally leads to higher level roles within any company.
Yeah. Definitely. I was actually in DECA as well. That's fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, if you could wave a magic wand and you could get clarity on any one part of your business, what would that be? Or
Yeah.
business you work with? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think that probably business development. So most of our clients come through referrals. We have a really good referral, like we have a good group of people who refer us a lot of clients, whether those are other agency partners or VC firms, or a lot of our current clients or past clients often refer us new clients. And that's amazing. And we've been able to grow the business on that. But what we struggle with is kind of being having like a lever we can pull to like bring in new leads and bring in new clients or not. And so that's something I would love to get more clarity on. And it's something that has changed really dramatically over the last, I would say, 5 years. And honestly, even just the last 2 years with AI, that everything that was working for a lot of people around cold outreach and around kind of cold business development has kind of been turned on its head because AI has enabled anyone to do it. So all of those channels are now flooded and saturated. So it's about trying to figure out like how do you stand out and do something different and like what's the way to get in. So if I could get clarity on that, I'd be a very happy woman.
Yeah. What prevents you guys from running ads?
Oh, we do. Yeah, we run ads and we run and we do email marketing and we do all the things you're supposed to do. It's just that most of our clients, they want, especially with marketing, there's certain like industries where you want a referral that just like works better. You want to know the person that you're working with because there's so much out there that's just garbage. And especially in the marketing world, like there's so many people out there who are just kind of like slimy and like not really in your best interest and who are just like going 100 miles an hour and not slowing down to like really take in someone's business. And so running ads and like all those things are great awareness, but I find that the most success I have is when I get to actually just like talk to somebody. So whether that's at a conference or someone refers us and there's built-in trust, but just like chatting with someone and helping them understand their marketing problems, that's what is the most effective. And you can't really do that with an ad or with a email, you know?
Yeah. Makes sense. For your clients' sales process, when you do get them leads,
Mhm.
how have you noticed that how they follow up with those leads affect the ROAS that you can actually get them?
Yeah, no, it's huge. So and that's again a part of how we're like we try to partner with people. And this is something I really recommend for any marketing agency is to like not stop at the ads. So, and when we started the agency, all we were doing was ads. Like that was what we were highly focused on. And then we realized, okay, well, if the ads are really good, but we're sending to a crappy landing page, then they're not going to keep us because like, then nothing's converting. So let's figure out how to build a landing page. So we did that. Like, okay, well, if they get to the landing page and then they like convert, but there's no email follow up, then they're not going to keep us around because they're not converting. So then we learned how to do email marketing. And so we kind of like expanded our services to like support the ads. And so that's been really great. But what we always do when we start with a client is we ask them, what does the sales cycle look like? How do you keep track of them? And can we get that data? So we are looking at, okay, we've given you this many leads. This many made it to the next stage. This many made it to the next stage. And this many converted. And we're always looking back to see like how long things take to convert. The clients that do the best have really strong sales team that keep their CRMs updated. So they're reaching out to leads, they're tracking what those leads are saying, they're giving us feedback on like what the objections are, and then we're adjusting our messaging to match that. So the follow-up is so important. We can't, because we don't do sales, we just do the marketing, but we work with the sales team pretty closely, or we try to at
Okay.
least.
No, that's great. Yeah. Well, we should talk about that after as well. But another question. If you could go into the future and ask yourself any question 10 years into the future, what would that question be? And what do you think it would help you do?
Yeah. I guess if I could go 10 years into the future, I think I would just ask if they have if I have any advice. I mean, I don't know what I would ask them. I think they would probably have a lot to tell me. So I think I would just say, like, are we on the right path? Did we choose the right niche? Because I think that's something that a lot of marketing agencies really struggle with. Is like, we all know that we need to niche down and we need to be really specific. But if you're a good marketer, you get opportunities from all different industries. And so something that's like really painful and really hard to like pull the trigger on is, okay, I'm going to be in this niche and I might accept clients from other areas, but I'm really going to focus all my energy on this niche. So I think I would ask myself, like, was it the right decision or should we have chosen a different niche? But ultimately, I think that it's all about the journey, and I don't know if we have that many regrets. Like, if I went back 10 years to tell myself, because we've been around for 10 years now, I I don't know what I would I would think I would just kind of say, keep at it. Like, it's going to be really hard. It's fine though. You're going to push through, and as long as you don't stop, you can't lose. You just got to keep moving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. And last two questions. If somebody wanted to be somebody else, if they wanted to be successful specifically in the industry of marketing,
Mm-hmm.
what's one piece of advice that you would give them?
I would say learn everything. So, uh, the most successful people in marketing have a good understanding of how everything works together. And I was really lucky because my first internship at the lead generation company, like, didn't have any other marketers. It was just me and Alex. And so they were just trying to get cheap labor. We didn't know what we were doing, and we really just had to figure it out. So we learned how to do email marketing. I learned how to build websites. I learned how to do Facebook ads and Google ads. And so I kind of had all of this like cursory knowledge of all these different things. So then when I moved in, we started doing the agency, I could like jump in and troubleshoot things, and I could speak the language of the experts. So I might not know everything about media buyers, but I do know how to talk to media buyers. And I don't know everything about web developers, but I know how to talk to them. And I also know when someone's bullshitting me because I kind of know how everything works. And some people would say just get really good at one thing, like get really good at meta ads. But I would actually argue that if you want to be a leader in marketing and you want to kind of like build out an agency, you really want to have a good understanding of all the different elements and how they work together. So that way you're not relying on other people to tell you how things should work. Yeah.
That makes sense. And if you could give one piece of advice to anyone who's trying to be successful in life, what would that be?
I don't know, man. That's a good
Harder
question.
one.
I think that I think that if you can get outside more, you'll be happier. I think people get so obsessed with hustle culture and they get so obsessed with like getting everything done. But I think the most successful people in life have a lot more balance. And if you can get outside and touch grass and like realize the world is a much larger place than what you realize, then it's going to give you the perspective and the ability to like zoom out and understand how important this one thing is. Like, is that UTM parameter make it or break it? Or is the bigger picture that there's like a system that needs to be fixed? Like, I think that like people get so into the detail, into the weeds, but if you zoom out, you can accomplish a lot more, be a lot calmer. And I've found that the best way to zoom out is to get away from your computer and go for a walk, which is a very simple thing, but it's something that always helps me. So, yeah.
Some solid advice. Well, Courtney, thank you for coming on Nova Talks. And where can everyone find you and your business in case they're interested?
Yeah, so we're Right Left Agency. So you can go to rightleftagency.com or follow us on any of the platforms at Right Left Agency.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on.
Of course. Thank you so much.